Good morning. What's going on? We have AMC holding tight above that 20% short interest. Professor Meatball joining you right here. And real quick, the response. Citadel responding to hashtag Ken Griffin lied. We have the options chain here to take a look at in a second, but I want you to take a look just by yourself of the update of what Ken Griffin lied about, the CEO of Citadel. Make your own decision, right? Make your own thoughts, because it's all about the opinions. I'm just reporting on what is trending. Hashtag Ken Griffin lied. Let's take a listen to why. 45 seconds.
Thinks that there was collusion, that the big guys, all of you guys, were figuring out how to do this and ultimately come out ahead, as you always do. But did you talk to them about restricting or doing anything to prevent people from buying, not selling, but buying in GameStop?
Let me be
anybody in your organization.
Let me be perfectly clear. Absolutely not.
Ooh.
So if we depose everyone in your organization, we'll find that.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
That is correct, and the statement was taken under oath. Let's break it down to make sure that you guys fully understand what he's lying about, and we'll take a look at the markets of how every single, seems like most stocks on the market are 3% down today. Not the AMC, and not only AMC and GME, but we have across my board ATER, FUV. We got Amazon down 3%. That is hard to see. Adobe's down 3%, Wimi and SoFi, and RWLK's down 10%. We have Huma down 3%, BBIG down even more. It is crazy. Look at the crypto markets here. 3% Ethereum, 1.5% Dogecoin, 3% Bitcoin. Oh my goodness. I wasn't sure if I was trying to yawn or I was trying to cry. T-Selfer, Misty McCallney, we got Josh Bryant, we got BTS Sandwich, we got Alan Barron. Oh man, the next week we got Jason and Bill Hurley. So it's important to note what Ken lied about. Today's statement from Citadel Securities does not say that Ken Griffin and Vlad Tenev have never exchanged emails, but instead states that they have never met or spoken. Okay, it's kind of like saying, did you collude with this sovereign nation against our nation's best interest, the nation of Vladtopia? And then they say, I never ever officially communicated with Vladtopia. That is their official response. But here it is. Here is Citadel Securities' official response right here. Citadel Securities did not ask Robinhood or any other firm to restrict or limit its trading activity on January 27th. Here's the entire tweet thread. Citadel Securities did not ask Robinhood, but we just saw that. Citadel Securities was the only major market maker during this time that provided continuous liquidity every minute of every trading day. And on January 27th, Citadel Securities executed an extraordinary 7.4 billion shares on behalf of retail investors. Ken Griffin and Vlad Tenev have never met or spoken, not what we're accusing you of. And when asked whether Citadel Securities requested that Robinhood restrict trading, Ken Griffin truthfully told Congress, let me be perfectly clear, absolutely not. And that is the response from Citadel right now. We still have more to talk about, especially since the SEC GameStop report has yet to be issued. So it's still in the wake of the fiasco, and we want to be able to understand why. What's up, brother? Kept my brother. Daniel Rodriguez says, thanks to everyone who kept my brother in their thoughts and prayers. He woke up after the DRS had basically written him off and told us to prepare. They wrong. Thank you, Daniel, for putting the hope in. All right. Well, the question is, why is this happening today? Let's go find some answers right now. Robot Dog says, hey, I remember you. What's up, Robot Dog? What up, Sour Ness? What's up, Zero, the Guitar Hero? Bill Hurley says, I'm loading up on FUV. Remember FUV, where is it right now? Down 3.87%. It is a delicious deal across the entire market. AMC had dipped even further down to this crucial red line. Every time it goes down to this 37.21, seems like a strong bounce. So that's the kind of numbers and data you would be getting if you guys were regular watchers, which you guys are. Joe Stofy. I don't think them lying makes a difference until the system is changed. It will continue to be the same way. We can't even trust our own brokers. Joe, that's the secret. I'm always angry at the brokers. I'm always trying to see whether or not that they are going to be pitching in what we deserve as traders, as people who need to have confidence in the market in order to continue investing in the market. BTS sandwiches, they are professional liars. They just pay when they get caught and keep on ranking in the money. John Nichols says, what a lovely day. Mo Money is live. What? What's up, Smoking a Joke? And Tony Gonzalez, Mo Money Mornings. Matt Hatter says, Kenny's a fib bot. Oh, nice attempt on my name, says Bill. I will butcher everyone's name for entirely free. Here, Lily. What's the Ortex data looking like? Very nice. AMC's held that 20% short interest for an entire week and a half, if not 2 weeks now, which means that imagine 1 in 5 shares of available AMC shares actually are one of the other 4 shares, okay? So that is borrowing from the 4 shares and then bringing out 20% more. That is the short interest. And that is only the calculatable short interest, not the naked short interest, which there's no reason for these hedge funds to have to report. That system provides them the shelter. Okay, let's keep talking about what the Citadel lied about and what is to be done about Ken Griffin lying under oath. Okay, let's see. It's important to note that today's statement from Citadel Securities does not say that Ken Griffin and Vlad Tenev have never exchanged emails, but instead that they have never met or spoken. The company is doubling down on their CEO's statement that Citadel did not request Robinhood restrict trading on GameStop or other meme stocks, but it seems the two companies were communicating on January 27th, 2021. So now this is getting pretty juicy. So they were communicating, if these leaks are to be believed. The question of collusion remains on the table, but it does seem possible that Citadel has repeatedly used language like did not ask when discussing buy order stoppages of that fateful day. This kind of legal language hedging does not mean that there was no communication between the companies, and it may be difficult to prove what was discussed. We're talking about that GameStop report, the one that is to be released by Gary Gensler about what happened in January with both GameStop, AMC, and the other ways that the market was pushed to the edge by 2 very important things. 1, people like you and me finally got interested in changing their world in the stock market, in changing the greatest financial revolution that you have seen, the exchanging of finances from one generation to another. And there was a note. What was Citadel's specific wording? Did not ask. Citadel did not ask that Robinhood restrict trading, and yet Robinhood specifically did, which behooved the situations of everyone in the CEOs that had to testify in Congress, right? You had to testify because you gained something from the explosion and then the restriction. So you get brought to court, and then Gary Gensler makes a report about you. So if that report is going to be bad news for Citadel, we'll have to find out in a week or so. Mr. Mse says, if they try to screw us, there will be lawsuits everywhere. There won't be a stock market because everyone will drop out. What's going on? Good morning, Doge Pound. Greetings, Andrew. Long time. What's up, Marcus Cicero? Good to see you. Oh, man. We have T-Silver says, good to see you and Meatball back in action, Andrew. Let's see if we can get Mr. Meatball up here. You want a treat, buddy? Want more water? Do you want some more water, or do you want just more? Okay, put it up here. KLM. Ken lying matters. Do something. Speaking of doing something, I believe Jerome Powell is live right now at the Fed, holding a press conference about the CARE Act, I think is what's going on. Meatball is going to be wearing the cutest little... There it is. There we go. That's adorable. He needs to keep the sun out of his eyes. Oh, man. Patrick Motley says Pebbles, Meatballs, number one four-legged fan had to spend the night at the vet. Keep her in your thoughts, Patrick. Pebbles is in my thoughts. Everybody, just one little rocket. One little rocket for Pebbles, please. Let's see if there's any green across the day. This is the stock market crash that a lot of you probably are like, huh. Stock market is crashing. Market crashing. All in every sector. Deal or get out? It's only a deal if you know why these things are happening, right? It's a get out if you are just don't have enough time to do the data, bring the research up to you, which is luckily something that I'm here to do. Give us a fair market, Fed, says Catzone. We pay your salary. Becky Vega says, Andrew back on? That's bullish, baby. Okay. The GME short squeeze still sits at the center of the story, so we're looking at an article of what Citadel have responded with to the hashtag trending all over, Ken Griffin lied. Under oath, many investors believe that GameStop stock would have gone up much higher if not for the buy order halt issued by many brokers. Getting to the bottom of the story for why that happened is something that the denizens of Reddit and active users on Twitter will not give up on until the truth comes out. The prudent thing to do at the moment is probably to wait for regulators to issue their official reports. Sadly, many investors have a strong distrust for the entities in charge of protecting the public, and it will take an unprecedented level of transparency for these long-awaited reports to even be trusted. It is hard to blame the meme stock investors for exercising skepticism in a world filled with shills, FUD, fake news bots, and mainstream media boomers who don't understand memes. That is a very good final line. Captain Business. Captain Business, stock market expert. Thank you, Captain Business. But there it is. Ken Griffin lied under oath. Once again, it's only 45 seconds. Take a listen while I tweet this out about what exactly he lied under an oath about, so that if you just joined the video, you can just get caught up.
Thinks that there was collusion, that the big guys, all of you guys, were figuring out how to do this and ultimately come out ahead as you always do. But did you talk to them about restricting or doing anything to prevent people from buying, not selling, but buying in GameStop?
Let me be
Anybody in your organization?
Let me be perfectly clear. Absolutely not.
So
there it is.
if we depose every...
So what does it say? It says, Gretchen Howard, just an FYI that Dan and I are joining Jim at 5 p.m. on a call with Citadel. They reached out and want to speak this evening, and we believe they will make some demands on limiting payment for order flow across the board. We won't agree to anything, but wanted to give you a heads up. Okay? Oh, says Vlad Tenev. Maybe this would be a good time for me to chat with Ken Griffin. Vlad Tenev says, you guys can mention that.
Everyone in your organization will find that.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then Jim Swarth Woot says, everyone is, you wouldn't believe the combo we had with Citadel. Total mess.
Okay, thank you.
You wouldn't believe the combo we had with Citadel. Total mess indeed. What are you going to do? That looks pretty darn bad. That does not look good. Okay. Well, I just tweeted at Andrew Mo Money on Twitter about just a fiasco that we all saw coming. We knew it to begin with. Oh, unique experiences. Nice to see you live. What's going on? Let's see. Eric says they may be red, but stonks only go up. Oh, man. Pangea, thanks so much. Andrew's on today. Serotonin baseline reclaim treat for Meatball. Heck yeah. Okay, here. We've got many treats, including this donut here. We've got this bone that says nuts for donuts. We've got these bowls, these Bulls. What is this? Dried fish? Let's give him a dried fish. It's gonna stink. But just for that super, let's give him a treat. Thanks for appreciating the show, guys, because I appreciate y'all. And then we'll go right into the TA of understanding which of these stocks are most likely to rocket back up. Likely the two stocks that are on screen. But, Meatball, you want some fish? Fishbone, Meatball. Good boy. Oh. He'll be back. Oh man. Irrelevance, like they didn't communicate to us when we reached out to them. Mad Titan says, good morning, and your volume has been so low past few days. There it is. It is Truth Ruth. What's going on, Paul Ruiz? We got some ducks from Splendid Things. If you guys are just joining, ducks, throw some ducks in the chat. Again, we are looking at a statement taken under oath, and it is looking pretty bad for Ken Griffin with some leaked emails. But then they had the nerve to go out and respond to these allegations. So we're looking at those responses right now. Nathan says, crouch. Okay, let's see. So here is their response. Citadel Securities has been carrying the albatross of being our WallStreetBets most hated companies on Wall Street for most of 2021. And things escalated earlier today on social media when hashtag Ken Griffin lied started to trend on Twitter. Many rumors of leaked email conversations between Ken Griffin and Robinhood CEO Vlad Tenev fueled the internet rage, which ultimately culminated in several hashtags trending today across social media platforms. After a day with their CEO being buried by some hilarious memes on Twitter, Citadel Securities sent out their first tweet since January 26th, 2021.
Citadel Securities did not ask Robinhood or any other firm to restrict or limit its trading activity on September 27th, 2021.
So, here's the entire tweet thread that was posted by their official Twitter. Here it is. This is their response. Bringing it to you right here. And what exactly are they guilty of? After this, we'll take a look at that 20% short interest on Ortex, but here is a pretty cut and dry little 45-second clip from the January GameStop. Actually, this was the February GameStop congressional hearing.
Thinks that there was collusion, that the big guys, all of you guys, were figuring out how to do this and ultimately come out ahead as you always do. But did you talk to them about restricting or doing anything to prevent people from buying, not selling, but buying in GameStop?
Let me be
anybody in your organization.
Let me be perfectly clear.
Let me be perfectly clear.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Gretchen Howard. This is November 27th, no, that can't be 2021. So it must be 1/27/2021. Either way, it was in 2021 that they say, just an FYI, that Dan and I are joining Jim at 5 p.m. on a call with Citadel. They reached out and want to speak this evening, and we believe they will make some demands on limiting PFOF, payment for order flow, across the board. We won't agree to anything and wanted to give you the heads up. Sounds like a nice vice president or maybe just a high exec, a senior director that's talking to Vlad directly. Vlad, the CEO of Robinhood, says, oh, maybe this would be a good time for me to chat with Ken Griffin. You guys can mention that. Vlad wants to talk to him. Put it in writing.
If we depose everyone in your organization, we'll find that.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That is correct. And the most important part, Jim Stalwart, it's hard to read if I have the pause on.
Okay, thank you.
It says, everyone is, you won't believe the combo we have with Citadel. Total mess. And that's the hashtag total mess you can just put on into the Twitterverse. Yeah. Leonard saying, my prediction when MOAS starts is that we'll all get excited and loud, and it'll be the point where our jaws literally will drop, and in silence we're processing the change happening in that moment. Yeah, you think you're going to be blown up with excitement, but really it's going to be shock and awe at reality coming at everyone else who doubted along the way. Look at AMC bouncing once again off of that 37 20 level of support. That red level of support is something that I've been watching for a couple of weeks straight. Just had 2 strong supports off of it today alone. Paul Ruiz says, Ken Chain Gang. Government Divine says, we need a former Citadel employee whistleblower to write the next questions to be asked during Ken's next hearing. Can we get a Dave Lauer? Can we get a Dave Citadel ex-trader and man who is now data scientist going around and blowing whistles? Patrick Motley says, I do go to the pond. Tell Meatball, no money, come on. What's up? Okay, let's see. Meatball, come here. Come here. So he's finished with his delicious treat. The rocket only turns on when... Hold on. That explodes. Hey, you need a couple explosions to crack a few eggs. Meatball, I understand. That Akigen down 6.9%. Look at some big losers of the day. So know that where you can have big winners. Ooh, I have a friend who loves AMD. If you're listening right now, man, message me. Message me that you're listening about AMD right now. Down 4.7%. Neuro down 6%. Snap down 7.2%. Look at these tech losers of the day. We have MRIN down 8.5%. Newegg is down 5.5%. Dang. Chinese market DD is down 2.75. Wish is down nearly 5. Let's look at where I believe Amazon we just saw was down 3% nearly, and then we have Baba down around. Oh, Baba's actually fine. I mean, it's not green, but it's not 3% down. So anything that's not 3% down today is holding tight. Shang-Chi wins 4th week, becomes top 2021 film. Makes sense. The Millennial Money Problem. They make a lot of Millennial Money references throughout that movie. And I kind of like that. I'm like, wow. Personal finance is hard. You're right. It's important to note that today's statement from Citadel Securities does not say that Ken Griffin and Vlad Tenev have never exchanged emails, but instead states that they have never met or spoken. That's an important distinction. Anybody? An important distinction. Now, Meatball really thinks that I'm talking to someone on this side, but I'm really just talking to you guys. Oh, man. Irrelevant says, needs some perspective. SEC looking complicit. If they short this down, how far can it go? Remember, whole market is suffering. That's when you can essentially say, nice. Look at this bounce right here. 37.25. Next time it comes back closer to 37.25, call that bounce. It's going to be a double bottom. Maybe we can call it right here. No. This, then this, then this. Yeah, I wouldn't call this double bottom quite yet, but it could be the beginning of a beautiful one. Let's see. CZ Chris having trouble with TD Ameritrade. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a potential government shutdown coming. Ooh, yeah. It's kind of like saying the pot is boiling, there's oatmeal everywhere, but the babysitter is not in. The government shuts down at this point in time while the market is reeling. You know, it could be good for some people who don't believe that the governments can help, but it certainly will be like the cats and horses are loose now. What is 11% down? Rewalk. See if there's any notable losers today. You can start using a few of these. Let's see, Tesla with a possible George W. VIX is up, up, up. Yeah, VIX would be up. Volatility indexes. Oh, that is a beautiful George W right here. Wow, I'm actually almost at cost basis with Tesla. I think it's because I averaged down a couple of times. I am actually, I've broken even with Tesla this last week. Bam. As a reminder, if Tesla goes, it might be the first of that sector, the EV and tech sector, to go. Look at Boosh, VGGIF on a sea of red. It is up another 13%. Talked about Boosh yesterday. I mean, it's a sea of red here. In a sea of red, it's the only one not only up, but it's up double digits today. Yesterday was up 20%, today up another 13. Yeah. Back to AMC. AMC is now looking like a positive reversal coming across the bend right here at 37.70. If it crossed over here once, not only once, but twice, this green mark here, this last candle bringing us over and staying above that level. Okay, let's see. Matt Hatter says, still very patiently waiting for Jezebel's return. Jezebel! Jezebel! Scott Hunt Cunningham Realtor says, Andrew's back. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Love to see that. Have to. Love to. Bring it. Boom. Man, oh man. Do we pick some winners on this channel? Macy's is up 2.5%. I'm just trying to see any winners at all that are notable. GM and Ford holding tight. GTGFF is up 6.9. This is Great Thunder, another pick from a while ago. Blue Lagoon is also up. Basically, all of my picks from like a few weeks ago are all up. And VIX, of course, the volatility index up 28% as the market is struggle busting all over the place. Okay, back to AMC. All right, looking for that potential bounce here. Can't seem to trade VGGIF on E-Trade, says Marcus. Darn it! Those E-Trades. Well, luckily in the video I uploaded yesterday, there was a whole list of other brokers that you can trade on. Let's see. AMC is barcoding on the AMC chart. On the TD charts. Thank you, Nathan. Like barcoding on the barcoding charts. Aw, Sanguine says my dream car will buy with my attendees. It's called Polestar. MMAT. Okay, MMAT is going for it, they say. MMAT. Red on the day, but a potential winner. It was winning earlier today at $6.40. That would have been a less than 10, like a 40%. Sorry, 40. Less than 10, like a 8% rip, but then dropped to 0, and now hanging right around 0. Okay, let's see if I can pull up those Ortex charts. Again, 20%, holding tight on the AMC charts right now. What's the latest news on Showerfest? As T-Selfer is asking. Guys, Showerfest, all right? Let me be clear. You're gonna be washing your hands of the stock market soon because you'll be washing your whole body. It's an inside joke for those of you who are out of the know. But the longer you guys stay, the more you'll learn about what we're talking about. AMC's options chain. This is from today. Obviously not a ton because it's just today's options. This is option Sonar. Let's take a looky-loo. Okay. You can close about $40. It's $1 million of puts, $1 million of calls. Was it a $40 strike? Mostly call puts at the $50. $50 are already in the money, which means these are in the money puts. $32 are slightly out of the money. Those are not in the money yet. But these have been hedged all the way over, likely to 100%. Smoking says, I got MMAT at $4. Congrats. That's 50% up. That's 50 beeps. Penguin says, today is ugly. Hey, I love a good deal. What am I going to buy, though? Let me just unlock my trading so I can buy a couple of things. As you all know, my password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. My average cost of AMC is now 20 bucks. Actually, your MMAT gains are more than my AMC gains at this rate. What should I buy today? God, I really just want to buy more Boosh. Let me see. GME, Wimmy. On days like this, it really behooves you to buy a couple of like staple stocks. It is a slow process, right? So once again, I'm not a financial advisor. I have no clue what's going up or down without my tools. Okay, I use my tools like a human brain. You have to use everything in conjunction with each other. So I'm looking at the options chain here, right? I'll take a look at where Apple is as well. Maybe Apple doesn't have an unusual options chain. Oh, it does. Cool, 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 cool. As it's loading, I'm gonna look at any potential buy signals from LuxAlgo and TradingView. All right, let's get out of the minute. Go to 30 minutes. Likely a strong sell, but watch, Apple is now just now touching the reversal bands right here. Those reversal bands are likely actually, this is looking like a George W right here. Looking at the bottom of a George W right here. I'll toss in a little. Most of my Apple is in a different account. How much Apple? Do 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 do. I think that's fine. Put that there. Confirm. Think so. Well, let's find out tomorrow. Sweet. Remember, guys, the markets are constantly evolving. They're constantly evolving. Take a look at MMAT. So MMAT, I don't see any patterns, but I will take a look at any potential like short interest, or there's a strong buy signal on MMAT from 3 days ago, I think. So that is, what is this? September 11th. Sorry, September 22nd, 2021. So you bring up to $5, up to $6. And like smoking or joking, you know, some of you got all the way in at 4. When was that? Oh, that was like 2 weeks ago. So good job on the 50% rip in just 2 weeks. But now that strong buy signal is put MMAT on the opposite side, right? You are looking at it pushing into oversold, overbought territory. You want it to get closer to oversold, these green reversal bands. And so right now, I don't see a good entry point for MMAT. If you're riding it still, just know that it's not quite in the red bands yet, but it was before. As expected, it did reverse, and then it caught a lucky break at 574. It keeps on going. MMAT looks okay. What do you think about RIET? Ooh, this is an ETF, and it only has a day's worth of data. Can't say much about it then, without reading some news. And then DBGI. Oh, baby. This is a 50% runner today alone, which means this stock is out of here already. This is already in the stratosphere. Right, catching a runaway stock, or it's very similar to catching a falling knife. Someone's getting hurt. Could it be you? Be careful. Lucid down 5%, Neo down 5%. It looks like the entire EV market except Tesla is down 5% right now. Virgin Galactic down 7%. Good. It's just like a Duolingo's down 7.5%. I'm interested in how Duolingo's doing. So it's getting hot among the youngsters. Yep, there's that sell signal. But look at that. It's in the reversal bands already. There's no clear technical pattern I can see. But the buy signal was in the beginning of August again, where Duolingo went up about 40 bucks on 130. That is roughly 30% in the course of 2 weeks. Yep. It's not even a strong sell signal. I think I can get a little Duolingo. Surprising, it's worth more than Apple. It's not about the cost of the stock, guys. It's about the motion in the ocean. All right, how much Duolingo? That's probably enough. Let's not go crazy with it. Cool. All right, back to AMC. And I will also throw a little bit into AMC. I was hoping that AMC would go back down to 37.25 again, just to confirm this George W. Maybe in just a second. Granddaddy Funk says, wow, market is dumping. Oh yeah, it's dumping. It's dumping. Bobby Wade says, do I have my AMC? I haven't sold a single AMC. Why would I sell AMC? Why? Because I love going to the movies. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Granddaddy Funk says, no covered call this week. Kenny Boy is in trouble. Kenny Boy, you get back your answer for all these shenanigans you've done. Monday's meme stock action was about renewable energy and faded smiles. What the heck? In the green despite a flurry of not so positive news about the stock. Okay, great. SEC charging 2 traders for wash trading GME and other stocks. The big short investor turned GameStop mega bull Michael Burry tweeted, then deleted an acknowledgement that he had been subpoenaed by the SEC as part of an investigation into January's manic short. What? How is he responsible? Was he tweeting back then? And that man, Twitter is not good for that man. Oh, Christian Bale. Adding to the retail fervor that was in the fact that the CEO and president of renewable energy company, Andrew J. Littlefair, would be doing an Ask Me Anything interview with Redditors after the closing bell. Okay, so that is hype equity. Does have the word hype in it. T. Sulfur says, the meatball, the stonks, the sweaters. Let's see. Am I filibustering the question? My position is right here on screen. So is my GME's position right there. Where am I buying Boosh? Any of the brokers in that video. Go in that video and I have the brokers on screen for like half the video. So any of the brokers that the video shows, you could buy Boosh. Mo Money, you back on the daily again? Samurai, as long as you guys coming, I'm coming back. Look at Meatball's little hat there. He's keeping his son out of his eyes. I love to see him. Pet Brett says, Andrew's back. Good. I need something to power me through quarantine. Gorilla Champ, when's the last time Atoba came on the show? I believe that was like a month. We can just text him right now. What's up, brother? I'm gonna say Austin Tobit. Yo, brother. How's life? Checking in on you. So that is Austin Tobit. Author of such amazing hits such as Citadel Has No Clothes, as well as the Everything Short, as well as Black Rock Bag Holders, a bunch of them. TYD says, The Heavy Doors. C Money says, bless those cheeks. Bless them. Check out Meatball's look. Just zoom in. Just zoom on in there. This is your daily dose of Meatball. It's like he knows he's on camera now. Let's see. What's your thought on veggie for long term? Man, the only thing I wish I did was invest more in Boosh yesterday. I would love for an 11% up today. Palantir up 6.5%. Yeah, I am bleeding all over the place. Bitcoin, I think I actually finally broke even with on BlockFi. Remember, if you guys haven't started investing in BlockFi, oh yeah, this is when I bought $10 worth of Bitcoin on Webull just to check it out. But I think my Bitcoin entry is above. Sorry, I think it's below now. I think I've broken even with Bitcoin. People, you understand? We already bounced. AMC's already bouncing. We're pushed past 37.65. AMC up at 37.76 right now. And May says, yeah, see? Yeah. Silver says, aw, Meat Boy, look at you in your hat. Meatball's hat is money. Look, he has space for his ears to come out. Northern Minnesota Sasquatch says, I just found out I was unsubbed from your channel. Guys, careful. YouTube is unsubscribing people. So if you have a chance, take a look underneath to make sure you guys are still subscribed. Head Brett says, I'm in a good mood. What? How dare you? You do not have to send supers, Pet. Here's some appreciation. While we're at it, did you have any thoughts about O'Leary-backed project called WonderFi? Good show, boy. Ah, Mr. Wonderful. WonderFi. Let's see if we actually can see. Mr. Wonderful's. Is this an ETF? Is this some sort of 4% up ETF here? Don't know much about it, but I will look into it. Appreciate the super. We'll do a little digging. Maybe create another alert for the Moon Platoon here. Archangel says, still subscribe. Heck yeah. Lionhold says, Tom, I'm at 1K plus average up to 30 bucks, but more, LOL. More, indeed. N Filth says, glad you mentioned that. I've noticed on quite a few channels it says I'm not subscribed. That is super. You don't want that to happen. That's super annoying. All right, what are some other buy signals right now? Fed chairman still going before Congress right now. Surprisingly. They're not done talking about whatever they're talking about. Let's see. Former PepsiCo CEO. Some news about a certain lawsuit with a certain musical human and how he was found guilty on all accounts. ZKIN looking okay, says Tom. We'll take a look at ZKIN in a second. How sustainable are this week's markets? Home flipping is back, but profits are at a decade low. You wanted to make money? Wait for another financial crisis. Up to 90% of Americans may have like ... Okay, inflation is not as transitory. Let's take a listen. Economy is stronger, but inflation is not as transitory.
Look, I think the 10-year is telling you that the economy is stronger, but inflation also is much higher than expected and not as transitory. So let's start with the economy. Consumer, 70% of the economy is the consumer. Wages are going higher, jobs are aplenty, with JOLTS at 11 million job openings. Savings rates still high, and retail sales are remarkably strong. And on the manufacturing side is also seeing a resurgence and a V-shaped recovery. Industrial production is only 2% below pre-pandemic levels, and inventories are at 5-year lows. So, and then yesterday we had durable goods, and you had cap goods shipments at a 10% annualized rate running into third quarter from 10.6% in the second quarter. So economy is okay. Then you listen to people and CEOs like Expedia and Wynn and Kayak, and all are saying that things are starting to improve, especially as travel restrictions are getting lifted in Europe. So that's the good news. Inflation, it's much higher. We got PPI, we got CPI, we know all that. We heard from FedEx, they're having all kinds of problems on the wage side, labor side. Seasonal workers are having to spend more. And also, General Mills is now expecting 7 to 8% inflation for fiscal 2022. So it's real. Wages are up. Rents are up. So all of this, I think, if you package it together, is telling you that growth is better, but inflation is higher, rates go higher. They're all interrelated, and that's why you're seeing this rotation in the market into cyclicals, economically sensitive companies, reopen names, and away from the NASDAQ tech-heavy names.
Mark Baptiste is here. Foolery in these air. Away with these fools. Someone's talking about WonderFi is an Equitas exchange. It's something to do with writing smart contracts. All right. And then we have Patrick Motley says, that's weird. I was thinking I need to unsubscribe from a lot of channels. My list is long, but not as long as my position in AMC. Hey, Wolfie Wild says, morning, Andrew. Morning, Professor Meatball. Crazy start to the day. Hodl, Ken Griffin, go directly to jail. Do not collect tendies. Do not pass go.
Of investor confidence. And when you think about the fact that historically yield ranges have been very, very small, when you have very small moves, they're a really big deal. So like last week when the 10-year hit 1.5, for the first time since June, that was a really big deal. And it tells us that investor confidence is very strong. You can look at what else happened last week. All signs are leading to this, right? So the Fed suggesting tapering and the market reacting positively, steepening of the yield curve. Also high yield corporate spreads widening just a tad, but really,
just a tad.
At all-time lows. So when we think about this from a portfolio construction standpoint, as yields are increasing, and as we kind of prepare for potential definitely tapering and rate increasing, I think investors need to be thinking about that portion.
I sense Harmony is teaching me some language. YouTube bots unsubscribing policy is shady, not annoying. Yes, it is kills entire businesses.
They also should be thinking about leaning into those sectors that do well in rising yield environments, like financials, like energy, things like that.
Hey, Stephanie, when you think about the inflation we're seeing, how much do you think is a function of wages, and how much do you think is a function of this messed up supply chain we have?
Look at Meatball.
And the reason I ask is because I think
he heard me.
Could have an impact. Hopefully, I'm hoping it has an impact on how long this sort of inflationary period, how transitory or not it is, and how long it lasts, and what it really means.
Well, Andrew, the supply chain is really difficult. I mean, if you listen to Carol Tomei, CEO of UPS last week on CNBC on Closing Bell, she was not willing to commit in terms of when the supply chains are going to get fixed, but she certainly didn't say it was going to be the first half of 2022, right? So if you listen to some of the semiconductor companies, they're saying end of 2022. So I don't know if you want to call that transitory or not. I don't really think that is, quite frankly, but it's fixable, and it will get fixed eventually.
It will get fixed eventually. Wow, what a statement. Austin says, this is A. Tobit saying, doing well. Really busy, but I'm doing well. How are you? I said, I'm streaming for the first time. People are wishing you well. One rocket in the chat for A. Tobit. One little rocket in the chat for Austin Tovit because, you know, he deserves to be well. Oh, he says, hey, thanks. I appreciate that. Let's see. Let's see now. Boom Boom Candul says, why is AMC down? Oh, the entire market is down. AMC is basically par for the course when it comes to how many other markets are down right now. Market Bull tells investors to short. Sees 10-year hitting 2% this year. This was from yesterday. Seems like they are actually not that wrong.
Now and get to today's market action. Yields moving higher once again today, and that move hitting some of the big cap tech names. Our next guest says this rate breakout is just getting started. Let's bring in Julian Emanuel, BTIG's chief equity and derivative strategist. Julian, great to see you once again.
I think most stocks are coming around already.
In the context of, do you think this changes the likelihood that Powell is reappointed, and what would the market reaction be if Powell were not?
See where other big stocks are.
The markets would likely be upset if Powell were not
Adobe is
reappointed.
also down.
And the issue here, Melissa, is
Where's
that
Chipotle?
if you think about it, regardless of the largeness of what's happened here,
It's 3% down all
is there
day.
going to be more or less political pressure on Jay Powell between now and the end of his term in February? And it's clearly the answer is going to be more. If you look at it, the last time there was significant political pressure.
Doppelganger is asking about Bush. Honestly, the research I did about Bush, like, it's research, it's data. You don't have to like Bush. You could just say, hey, that's some data. And then you can look at the market and say, oh, only one of these stocks is up 12%, while everything else is down 3% today. On a relative terms, that means it's up 15%. Because almost the entire market, I'm just pulling up random stocks, and they're all down 3%, right? We got Chipotle, we got Adobe. Almost everything single stock is down 3%. So that seems like a board wipe across the board here.
Pressure on Powell was the fourth quarter of 2018, and they're not the same. But I would only say that what we saw last week from Jay Powell was the first time he's erred on the side of hawkishness since that fourth quarter of 2018. And frankly, it could be something that the margin that gets the Fed being perhaps even more aggressive than the markets thought. And from where we sit, we don't think that X of the rally of the last several days in the wake of Wednesday, that being more hawkish than the market wants or expects right now is going to serve stocks well in the near term.
You were already calling for expecting a 10 to 15 drop by mid-October, including the turbulence that we've recently seen, Julian's. At the margins, this could be additional pressure to that. And are rates the driver of this?
Rates are very much the driver of this, Melissa. If you look at it, part of the narrative is that positioning, for one, has been largely skewed towards high multiple growth. We've seen the NASDAQ outperform essentially almost directly since the last peak in yields at the end of March. But again, the Fed's dialogue, and it's not just the Fed, the Central Bank of Norway, the Bank of England are all telling you that rates need to go higher because inflation is a bigger problem than was perceived. And if you notice, that word transitory has largely disappeared in the last 4 or 5 days.
Timothy Harris had to get approval for Fidelity. Seems like he was able to trade them some veggie.
We think there's a chance that you could certainly test the highs at 175 and look for 2% by year end. And that to us, above 175 in particular, is likely to cause equity markets to continue to feel uneasy, and there you get more pullback.
Hey, Julian, it's Dan. So the last time that the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield was at 1.75, the S&P was much lower. So I'm with you with your call. But let's just look at what's happened in the last week since we started to see this rate breakout. Yes, you've seen mega cap tech be a little soft, and that.
Look, Timothy Harris has purchased Lux Algo last night. Thanks. We do love the Lux Algo. Hold on. Hold on a second.
The case in Q1, right, when rates were rising. But we've seen this rotation. Look what's happened with energy. Look what's happened with financials. Is that rotation enough to keep the major indices elevated? That's the problem that I have as I keep trying to short these moves. And I think we could be in a one step forward, two step back. But I'm just wondering if the rotations are enough to keep the major indices levitated.
So from our point of view, in the near term, likely no. In the longer term, yes. But again, you're looking at a tremendous amount of uncertainty. And by the way, we are overweight both energy and financials and very encouraged by their action. Energy in particular is something that we could see could still rally another 20 or 30%. It's such a low weighting in the S&P 500 that the larger index could go sideways to lower, and you still get this performance in energy. But again, it's not enough to drive the upside in the index level. And the thing that concerns us, if you look at the last half hour of today's trading, the market basically sold off in that last half hour. The flows have been very consistent from the public for the balance of 2021. That's changed in the last couple of weeks, and inflows are something that we need to sustain the upward bias. And that is something that, again, has been missing. 1 week does not make a trend. But you look at today, and it's not terribly encouraging in terms of what we expect over the near term.
Julian, great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julian Emmanuel, BTIG. Karen, in a scenario, if Julian is right, in which rates get to 2% by the end of the year and markets pull back, can financials still go higher?
I think so. If rates get to 2% by the economy sort of, us getting past Delta, and the economy sort of picking up steam, maybe if there's some improvement on some of the supply chain issues, and that's why rates are at 2%.
Oh, Mark the Realtor.
And so,
thanks, Mark the Realtor. SQ, Square, and TikTok partnership will be huge tomorrow. Square buying some calls for this bounce coming. Okay, Mark the Realtor, you've piqued my interest. What shall we do? We shall now look at the data. Hold on a sec. Let me see what I can do. I am going to first look at Lux Algo. Can I? One of these screens is Lux Algo. I'll start a new Lux Algo tab. I want to take a look at Lux Algo, take a look at Square. This is currently on Duolingo. But let's take a look at Square instead. And then TikTok. Ooh, Square and TikTok partnership. Ooh, Square is, whoa, super oversold. 243 strong sell signal from 258. I think it's down almost 10%. Let's make sure. Square is a big loser today. 5.5%. You know what? Square's not going anywhere. Is this the lowest it's been for a long time? Wow, what a mega drop. Last time it was there, 237. It went right back up. Okay, that's good enough for me. The Moon Platoons said something, and I'm listening. I should probably stop doing that. I'm just like, I gotta zoom in a little bit more. Can I get even closer, please? There we go. 13 cents. Oh, still going. Smoking Jokin says the question in the hearing was actually asked if he or anyone talked to anyone in Robinhood before buy button disappeared. It looks like that after the leaked documents. Pretty obvious what the answer is. Oh my god, it just ran away from me. I swear, I just bought it. I almost bought it. Here it is. 244 is 26. Sure. Alright, Square, don't let me down. Alright, so eventually we're going to start doing some option stuff on this show. Options are a lot more dangerous, which is why since I'm trying to be not your financial advisor, but a risk-averse example in your life, I will every time I trade options remind you that it's a very scary way to lose a lot of money even if you have all the data, you're on the wrong side of the trade. Unlike a long position, which really is, today you might be on the wrong side, but tomorrow you'll be fine, most likely. Stonks go up. Unless you're investing in something that could go belly up tomorrow. But Square, that's here to stay. Snap actually is back to its... Snap is all the way back to its levels from 2 days ago. From like 4 days ago. I'm just like, when did Snap was it at these levels? It was here like 5 days ago. This has been a crazy ride for the stock market, which means it's essentially one more turn to the bottom of the barrel before all the stock market comes back around. I'm not sure if this is the end of the market drop, but it certainly feels like they're coming around for one more shot. Everyone can just throw a couple more dollars in their bank account. But yeah, I am. Oof, my portfolio is. Ouch. Andrea says, yes on options. Yes! Webull has a lot of cool things about options. By the way, if you haven't gotten your 2 free stocks yet, it might be time. It's up to you. It's in the description down below. And then you can take a look at the kinds of options that you guys have here. It calls on this side, puts on this side. Oh, it's not as cute as the mobile version. Actually, kind of crunchy. All good. Let's see. Jonathan says 650 shares of AMC, 6 shares of GME, 3,000 shares of FAMI, 14.5 million SHIB, and I'm so ready for something to pop. What about the mushroom stock? Let's see. FAMI. Mushroom stock. Mushroom stock. Down 3%. Everything's down 3%. Watch out everything be up 3% tomorrow or next week. Honestly, this is just a slapback to crazy price action from the last few days alone. Just look at most of these stocks. Most of these stocks were at these levels 5 days ago. All right, so that means that the money that you would have lost is 5 days worth of money. So really, everyone's like, oh no, my bank account. Oh no, my portfolio. That's only 5 days worth of gains from almost every sector. All right, what is this? Crude oil went from relative oversupply to undersupply. Cool, cool. Energy surges as global demand is picking up. So the energy sector is surging. Ford CEO on EV investment. That's interesting because Ford is... What is Ford today? Okay. F in the chat, motors. Yeah, 1.2% up. That's okay.
For Ford, this is our biggest manufacturing facility in the history of our company. As you know, we're the #1 auto employer in America, so it's a big deal. We picked the locations because we have 3 battery plants, and the battery plant locations are very specific. We need affordable energy, we need the environmental approval done, and we need greenfield sites so we don't slow down with any remediation for environmental. The government support, access to skilled labor, these jobs are very different, all of those factors. You know, we need the battery plants really close to the assembly plant. Unlike a powertrain, an ICE powertrain, you can't ship batteries far. They're very heavy, and we want them right near the
Phil
plant.
says,
So,
earbuds? I have my
that's why
Beats
we're building
pill.
such a big site. It's
Thanks.
6 square miles of the assembly plant to build new trucks, and we need the battery plant on site.
Jim, you're also going to have, I know you're working with Redwood Materials, which is battery recycling. You're also going to have, basically from start to finish, the entire life cycle for the electric vehicle battery on these campuses so that you can say, look, at the end of life, let's recycle it. We have the materials that we can extract from these batteries, the battery cells, put them into new ones. A lot of people look at that plan and they say,
battery cells.
looks good on paper. I'm not sure that it's going to be something that can be executed in reality. What do you say to that?
Well, we disagree. This is something we studied. We have to do this, Phil. You know, look at the chip situation. We have to insource the batteries. We have to learn how to manufacture them in this country. We can no longer import raw materials from halfway around the world like cobalt. These materials have to come from North America. We scrap in battery manufacturers a lot of batteries. We need to recycle those into the manufacturing process as quickly as possible. And as you said, at the end of life, we have to get those raw materials back into the manufacturing system. I think what you're learning here and seeing from Ford is not just a big investment to scale electric vehicles, 1 million vehicles worth of batteries in this case, but we are...
So most things are rallying right now. As you guys look at the market, you will know it to be true. Search your feelings. Most things that rally in the market, and then most things are crashing from that rally. So stocks go up, stocks go down slightly, and then stocks go up again. It is the truth of life. Nothing quite like it, other than stocks going up and stocks going down sometimes. If you're putting some money into the market, make sure that it's not a substantial amount, because you're trying to inch into the position that you want to be in. You want to be in a you want to be a cool guy and put all your money into Tesla, inch into it. You want to be a cool guy and put all your money into AMC and GME, inch into it, right? Same thing. Make sure that you understand that if you are averaging up or down, that you do it incrementally. You never know what happens in the market. But that's not it. That is not financial advice. Can't do it. Can't give you financial advice. Literally, it's not in my bones. Can't even think about that. Wow. The chairmen are still talking right now. Okay, well, you guys want to switch to that real quick? Just for a hot sec? Hear what they're listening to? We'll do it for real quick.
Just hasn't come back to normal yet.
That's right. And so, Chairman Powell, can I ask you your thoughts on what we should continue to do to address to help the recovery? Because I know, at least in Nevada, which the main revenue generator for our state is this hospitality, travel, and tourism. That leisure traveler has been there, but the business traveler's not back. The international traveler's not back. Are you anticipating what can be done by the Federal Reserve to address this? And Secretary Yellen, I'll ask you the same thing, by the administration, or what should we be doing as Congress? Have we done enough for this industry?
Have we done enough?
What need to be done to help bring it back because of this pandemic?
In my view, the most important thing is to get control of the pandemic. That's what's keeping people out of sporting arenas and off of airplanes and out of restaurants and bars. And we saw that very clearly in the August payroll report, where job creation in these industries had gone from very strong for several months to zero in August. So it's really all about, at this point, getting the Delta variant and really, frankly, getting vaccination and immunity up higher, which is not something we can do.
Thank you, Secretary.
And would agree with that answer, and it is something we are working as hard as we possibly can to do, to get vaccination rates up, to deal with the pandemic.
Thank you. And let me talk about something that's also impacting my state, and I think many, which is the disruption in the supply chain. And Senator Ossoff was talking to you about it, Secretary Yellen. And you talked about the National Council, if I remember correctly. It was
National Economic Council.
Yes. Is there a time frame when they anticipate coming back with some concrete answers to how to address this disruption in the supply chain?
So polite.
I can get information for you on that. I know they're bringing together business leaders who are in affected industries with experts to see if things can be worked out.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I am going to yield the remainder of my time. I'll submit the rest of my questions for the record. But thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay, if you guys are just joining in, we are looking at the end of the Jerome Powell Treasury Secretary Yellen testifying before Congress right now.
Thanks to the members of the committee for holding this hearing. I want to thank Chair Powell, Secretary Yellen for being here today. Chair Powell, I'd just like to also acknowledge you. You and
on the side, I'm doing some TA to make sure that I can draw some nice, pretty charts for you.
The economy, we spoke about this in February, and we spoke about it in depth during our hearing in July. very pleased to see the Fed beginning to lay the groundwork now to address inflation in our economy, and for that I want to thank you. Secretary Yellen, I'd like to turn my attention to you, and if we might speak about the $3.5 trillion transformation of the U.S. economy that's being proposed right now that we're going to be expected to vote upon very soon. Last week, you, Leader Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, stood before the American public and said you'd agreed to a framework to pay for this. Could you tell us what's in this framework?
What's in it?
Well, it was essentially a list of ideas where there's support from the House, the Senate, and the White House for how revenue could be raised that would be sufficient to cover the expense of programs under consideration. And as we've articulated, this involves increases in the corporate tax rate, reform of international provisions that will reduce the incentives we currently have in the tax code to export jobs and export profits to low-taxed areas and to export jobs abroad and raise revenue. Additional revenue raised from high-tax, high-income individuals.
Jay Kaner says, what the heck are we watching? Don't worry, I'm doing some TA while you guys take a listen of what Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen have to say about the market crash and about the government shutdown potentially happening right now. There's a descending level of support trend line here that we can see at GME, which means that we are currently in a consolidation downward. But for AMC intraday, we're looking at a reverse head and shoulders. So that's something that we will likely see a potential upside on very soon.
It's estimated at $7 trillion.
Now, I'll come to the compliance issue in just a moment. I would, though, very much like to see this framework that you agreed to. We're going to be expected to vote on the most massive transformation of the U.S. economy that this nation has ever seen. $3.5 trillion is a huge amount of money in pay-fors. And the industries and the individuals and how they're going to be targeted is something that I would very much like to get a copy of before I'm expected to vote on this. I'm certain that my fellow committee members would like to see this. Is this something that you could get me and my team by the close of business today, Secretary?
No, it is not. There are currently discussions and negotiations taking place within the House and the Senate with involvement in the White House to try to decide what a final package will look like. And until that's decided, see that things coming out of House Ways and Means, for example, but this is very much in the process of being.
This is very, very, very disturbing when we're talking about something of this magnitude, and you're telling me that I cannot see the framework, that the members of this committee cannot see the framework. I guess we're just supposed to trust the administration.
Well, you can
getting grilled.
Our proposals that the president put out in conjunction with his Build Back Better plan.
These are just platitudes. I'm talking about the specifics of the program.
Well, the Treasury's Green Book had specifics.
Haggerty is getting her right now.
Proposals, and House Ways and Means marked up a bill pertaining to revenue that you can look at the specifics.
I'll look forward to you working with my staff so we can have a detailed understanding, because the last thing I want to do is find ourselves yet again in a situation where we've got to pass a bill to find out what's in it. And in fact, we need to have a very clear understanding of this sort of transformation, because the credibility of this administration is been seriously challenged. If you look at the disaster that's taking place in Afghanistan.
Resort Dog says tomorrow's crisis will be the best crisis ever. Oh man.
A picture of what the intended pay for will be and the impact on the economy. So I appreciate your team working with mine so we can get as much information as possible on this.
Looks like my reverse head and shoulders is already ripping. AMC is coming off of the 37.20 red line right here and coming all the way up to its VWAP, volumetric weighted average price. If it can push past both its EMA, the purple line, and its VWAP, the orange line, it's smooth sailing from there.
It'll be an impact on community banks, on farm credit lenders. It will be an extensive compliance burden. But there's a greater concern that I have. And that's the concern that my constituents have raised with me and that the American public has in the ability to keep this information confidential. And after we've seen what happened when the IRS disclosed the private confidential tax information of its political enemies during this administration to ProPublica, there's a huge concern and a deserved concern on the part of the American public that this information, the detail that we're talking about, is a detail level that I would expect from the Chinese Communist Party, not here in America, but the detail will be protected. And can you tell me?
You said China, everyone drinks.
Certain that this taxpayer confidential information will be protected.
Protecting taxpayer information is the highest priority of the Internal Revenue Service.
That's not the highest priority.
ProPublica information represented in a legal revelation.
I like how Smoking a Joke is clearly saying push AMC, but it's push Amy. Push!
Investigated thoroughly by independent entities, law enforcement, inspector generals, Treasury.
Bart Ronda Trap says, hey, where you been? Since you've been gone, AMC went down? Nah. AMC went down before I came back on.
In the IRS, so that they can modernize their systems and put in place better controls that will protect taxpayer information. Just to be clear, we do not know that the ProPublica information came from the IRS. That hasn't been established. And we're talking about a small amount of information, not every transaction that's less than $600, where, look, banks already report to the IRS on Form 1099-R.
I'm aware of that.
The amount of interest, and we're just asking for 2 additional pieces of information, aggregate inflows.
He's like, please do not belittle me.
Count during the year.
Again, far more detail about it, the Americans' private transactions. And again, I would say I appreciate the fact that you're looking for accountability within the IRS. We've seen a great lack of accountability in this administration. You just look at what's happened in Afghanistan, zero accountability. Look at what's happened at our border, zero accountability. The American public is concerned, and I very much appreciate the efforts that you're taking, and I hope that you get to the bottom of this so it never happens again. Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Senator Warnock from Georgia is recognized.
I love the guy with his voice. He's like,
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Powell and Secretary Yellen, for being here. Yesterday it was reported.
Marcus says, is there a Rosetta Stone language kit to decipher what she's saying?
Following earlier reports that they were actively trading their private investments while the bank was intervening in the markets.
What?
Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, many experts have underscored the importance of maintaining the independence of the central bank. Independence, of course, is necessary before the pandemic, after the pandemic, during the pandemic. Even though neither serves now as voting members of the Federal Open Market Committee, this is a blow to the image of the central bank, serving as an impartial and independent agency charged with maintaining stability in pricing and employment. Chairman Powell, what immediate actions have you taken to ensure the impartiality of the Fed, and what systems already that are in place failed here, and how do you plan to fix them going forward?
The question started so good. Anyway, it looks like you guys are making friends in the chat. That's the point. You guys want to say hello in the chat? You guys are just lurking. Some friends are being made in filth and smoking or joking.
So we don't like to be having these concerns raised. It's really something that's very, very concerning. So as soon as I learned of it, I directed our staff to undertake a review of our practices. We've had in place a set of practices around investments and trading and disclosure that seems to have worked for a long time, only it's clearly, it's really not working now. And we understand now that we need to modify our practices, and we're in the process of creating ideas and recommendations for that. That's one thing that we're doing. We're also looking carefully at the trading that was done to make sure that it's in compliance with our rules and with the law.
The rules seem to have broken down. Do you think there needs to be any changes in the trade?
Yes, I'm 100% sure there is a need for those, and there will be. And I don't know precisely what they will be, but the appearance is just obviously unacceptable. And even if, as appears to be the case, think these appears to be the case. These trades were in compliance with the existing rules. That just tells you that the problem is that the rules and the practices and the disclosure needs to be improved, and that's what we're working on. We will rise to this moment and address this.
Viper says, all right, Andrew, good to see you back. Back up it is. Happy to be here.
Working with you on this issue and also working with Chairman Brown.
Reb Skater is here. LFG, Gorilla Squaff.
Topics. I'm a strong advocate for.
Oh my God. CH11I. What's going on? Good to see you.
An expansion of the Vital Child Tax Credit Program and the American Rescue Plan. I think
NYM, I appreciate it, but remember, the only stock that's up today is the stock that you were calling a pumper dump. Every single stock in the entirety of every other stock is down. That's fair. It still might be a dangerous play. That's why you have to understand your own risk profile. But I appreciate your information and your opinion.
Working people, ordinary people, poor people. That's what it's a tax cut. And experts say that this tax cut would cut child poverty in half nationwide. And 97% of families with children qualify. So this is about lifting the burdens of our neighbors. If made permanent, this tax cut for families would push poverty in a typical year down below 10% in 47 states, including Georgia. Secretary Yellen, should Congress make this program permanent? And if so, what kind of long-term benefits will this have for our nation's economy and families?
Well, we certainly would like to find a way to make it permanent. It's a very important support for children and their families. We saw just after one payment that the share of families reporting that there wasn't enough to eat in the household dropped by 24%. And it's clear that families are spending this on their children for clothing, for food. And, you know, the security that our children have, whether they grow up insecure in families that
Secure in families. Y2 Woody says, hey Andrew, one of your original subs here in January, still watch, and thank you for keeping GME and AMC fight alive. Appreciate you, bro. Thanks, man. Corporal Cloud Spike says, thanks for the quality content. Your videos have been a huge part of my financial education. Looking to lead my 12-year career soon on my path to financial freedom. Thanks again. Whoa.
School, child care support. I think these are critical investments to make sure that families with children can support them and they can succeed in their lives.
You said they use the money to buy things like food, I believe you said,
yes,
clothing. What in your estimation is the impact of that on the economy, the consumer economy? Does that help or hurt?
Well, of course it's positive. It supports spending in the economy that creates jobs in the process.
And what would be the impact of adding mandatory work requirements if we extend this and made it permanent?
Well, we wouldn't be in favor of mandatory work requirements. The truth is that the vast majority, over 90% of families that receive this assistance are working, have workers, and you have, in addition, grandparents, for example, who are no longer in the workforce, or people who are disabled, may not be working and can't work, who are also getting support that they need to take care of children.
Thank you, Senator Warnock.
Thank you.
The senator from North Dakota, Mr. Kramer, is recognized.
Mr. Kramer?
Chairman Brown, thank you, Senator Toomey. Thanks to both of you for being here. And I cannot resist. For some reason, I'm just not surprised, Madam Secretary, that working for money is something that your administration is against. I mean, part of the...
Let's see. I just tweeted you out, Corporal Cloud Spike, so check me out on Andrew Mo Money on Twitter.
Grows on trees, and we increase the demand for products while diminishing the supply. I want to get to another point. Related, however, Secretary, you made addressing climate change a high priority in your term. It's a central point of term. You and John Kerry, the president's climate czar, have encouraged banks and investment institutions to form this net zero banking alliance. By the way, net zero, Mr. Chairman, what that means is we're going to transfer our climate guilt to other people who don't have a climate conscience.
Yeah, he figured it out.
I'd rather set a goal, a global goal, and hold the real polluters accountable rather than reducing our economy and putting us at a disadvantage. But anyway, the president's urged banks to provide as much support for alternative energy projects as possible, which of course presumes at the expense of current energy projects. And that would obviously could force financial institutions to put political and social agendas ahead of their investors and ahead of their banks, ahead of the American economy. And that's why I've been such a harsh critic of these very arbitrary ESG statements put out by banks. But in light of this weak unemployment and recovery numbers, the fact that this inflation that I never believed was transitory clearly isn't any longer, do you think it's really a good idea for private businesses to be forced by a government official to make decisions about where they should or should not put their money, jeopardizing jobs in the energy sector? Because guess what's up? Price of gasoline, price of oil, price of electricity is skyrocketing. And there is no worse tax. Mr. Warnock wants to call child tax credit a tax cut, and he complains that we don't say that often enough. We don't say it because it's not a tax cut. It's a subsidy. It's a subsidy. Now, you can argue whether it's a good subsidy or a bad subsidy, but you can't. But calling it a tax cut is not fair. What we're doing is driving the price of all of these fuel sources up, transferring our climate.
That water was old.
And then hamstringing our own financial institutions with these arbitrary rules. So, in the light of what's going on with unemployment, now I know you want to just tax people a whole bunch more and pay people not to work. So maybe unemployment's not a big problem. But couldn't we please rethink this strategy, man?
Well, look, climate change is an existential threat, and it is a very high priority of President Biden's and of mine to address it. But no one is forcing banks or other financial institutions to make investments that they don't think are profitable and desirable. There is enormous interest in the financial community in making investments that will be profitable in sustainable investments. And what we want to do, and we're working through FSOC to do this, is to make sure that investors have the kind of information that will enable them to make investment decisions that they want to make that are profitable. And
so you don't think they're capable of getting their own information at risk and opportunity? So you have to have a czar and a secretary and other czars give them information that might be helpful to their decision. All the while, by the way, Russia, Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, they get the benefit of all of this. I mean, when our president has to call on OPEC Plus to help bring the price of gasoline down by increasing production, all the while we shut off our own, whether by fiat or by innuendo, that doesn't seem like a great strategy to me.
By innuendo?
I think you're wrong. I'll yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator Kramer. As we close, Senator Toomey has some remarks, then I'll make a closing statement.
Ooh, they're closing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just feel compelled to go back one more time and touch on this issue of the debt ceiling. I have to confess, I've been shocked to hear our Treasury Secretary and some of my colleagues tell us today that raising the debt ceiling and the additional borrowing that permits is 100% about covering spending that was committed to in the past, as though the spending that has not yet occurred this year somehow is not going to cause a deficit. Somehow that spending won't require borrowing. Mm-hmm. Spending that has not yet occurred but is going to occur absolutely is going to increase the amount that we're going to have to borrow. And when we go on an unprecedented blowout spending spree, it's going to increase spending by that much more. I mean, just think about it. Imagine that this $3.5 trillion spending bill, let's imagine Senator Sanders had his way and it was $6 trillion. You seriously think that would have no impact on the amount of money our government would have to borrow? How ridiculous. Of course it does. And so the truth of the matter is, our Democratic colleagues do not want the American people to associate this huge spending binge they've been on and want to continue on with the debt that will be required in part to pay for it. And we're not in favor of either one. And that's why, Mr. Chairman, I think you're going to need to use the procedures readily available to you to raise the debt ceiling just as you intend to pursue all this spending, which is with a simple majority vote.
Thank you, Senator Toomey. Of course, we all know that 3 years ago, 45 Democrats joined a number of Republicans with a Republican president, a Republican senator, a Republican House to pay our debts. We believed it was our patriotic duty. We all took an oath of office swearing to the obeisance there of what we believed in American values, and we paid our debts. We did it then bipartisanly, overwhelming vote.
Senator Pat Toomey, one word for you, help.
Senator McConnell doesn't seem to think that. Let me get one thing straight, though, about what we've talked about. The infrastructure investments we passed in the bipartisan bill we're working on now are fully paid for. It's simple. Instead of American taxpayers racking up debt due to corporate handouts and tax cuts for wealthy CEOs, those corporations, those billionaires, for the first time are finally going to help us pay for the investment we need in our greatest asset, the American people. It's not just nurses and teachers and firefighters that are paying their taxes. It's a time that the wealthiest people in this country paid their fair share. Corporate greed's a big reason why we needed this investment in the first place. For decades, we had a corporate business model, I mentioned that in my opening statement, where they plow all their cash into stock buybacks and bonuses and other schemes where the money ends up in their pockets instead of funding the real economy. The economy of a year ago may have looked pretty good from a corporate boardroom or may have looked pretty good from the Dirksen office building. But anyone who got their, as Lincoln would say, their public opinion bass would know that so many workers, entire neighborhoods, entire towns were not seeing the gains, those stock market gains, translate into opportunity for them and their family. We're changing that. One of the best things about our economy today is for the first time in decades, the first time in some people's memory, workers are starting to gain a little power in our economy over their schedules, over their wages, over their benefits. They're going to gain a whole lot more power when we invest in jobs in their towns and child care and housing and the child tax credit and education and workplace protections and everything workers need to feel stable and think, just so they know finally in this country they're getting a fair shake. I thank Secretary Yellen for joining us. Thank Chair Powell for joining us. The meeting is adjourned.
Yay, they did it. Okay, so what I wanted to say is Pat Toomey. He talked about GameStop all the way in the past. In fact, I think he's the only senator that ended up trading GameStop and paper handing GameStop as well before it got crazy.
Very good to have you, Senator. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Obviously, this gets quite emotional and volatile, and you can well understand. I'm just curious because a lot of folks, I know you'll be leaving the Senate. A lot of people are disappointed to hear that, see that, because you've always been a good voice of reason. I'm just wondering whether Washington could get ahead of itself here. That seems to be the fear of both sides. What do you think?
Well, we shouldn't let that happen. I do have colleagues who've already been making noises about somehow the SEC stepping in and new regulations and new laws. I see no case for that at this point. I do think we should understand why the brokers made the decision they made, several of them, including Robinhood, to limit the ability of people to buy stock. I think there is a very plausible explanation that has to do with the additional capital required when stocks become extremely volatile. But let's make sure we understand that.
Jezebel!
Let's remember, Neil.
Jezebel is here!
The innovation of some of these companies that have made a user-friendly app that allows you to trade stocks for free, and including fractional shares of stock. This is a wonderful innovation that is bringing investment opportunities to people of modest means who never would have had that opportunity before. This is a really, really good development, and I don't want to do anything to damage the opportunity of individual
folks, middle income, blue collar folks, to be able to participate in a big wealth generating machine, which is historic.
So this is Pat Toomey talking during the GameStop bubble during January. And remember, he's one of the only people, I think, that actually traded GameStop, but the only person that traded GameStop also paper-handed it in the Senate. So at the end of the day, Jezebel, send me your address because I want to send you something to get well soon. Oh my gosh, unless you're already well, in which case it's a celebration that you did get well soon. Thank you so much for being an excellent mod. The mods on this chat are the best. And that's why we got to get some rockets in the chat for them. Thank you, Jessa, for showing up, modding this chat, and keeping everyone safe.
Historically, what the stock market has been.
Well, that's what they've been characterizing it, Senator, to your astute point here, that this is a chance for the little guy to do what the big guys have been doing. But having said that, I did mention the market sold off mightily today. Part of the concern, Senator, were that some of these hedge funds that have been, very important in this whole process, big short players like Melvin Capital, Citron, might be losing, billions here. Certainly that was enough the case with Melvin that big investors like Ken Griffin and Steve Cohen poured $2.5 billion to keep them going. So the fear seemed to be building that others were exposed to these big hedge funds and might have to be, rescued or helped if it gets that bad. And that is what the people are fearing, that there's something systemic going on here. Do you worry about that?
Look, I am not aware of any evidence that there is a systemic risk in the capital markets here. Let's keep in mind, our markets have been awfully frothy. We have had an amazing run-up. The idea of giving back a few percentage on any given day for almost any reason wouldn't be the least bit surprising to me. I do think it's also worth pointing out, look, this is a classic bubble. Let's just be honest. It had all the components, the confluence of a number of events that has caused an unbelievable run-up in a stock that is completely unsustainable. When this ends, it's going to end badly for the people who buy in late. Just as it went very badly for the hedge funds who shorted early. The hedge funds need to live with the consequences of that. They've lost, some of them lost a boatload of money. That's life. They're big boys and girls.
Should individuals as well then, Senator? We're all adults here. We don't need to be babysat
Neil,
for this.
Individuals also have to live with the consequences of their decisions. And I hope they have the good judgment to not make very speculative investments with money they can't afford to lose. But that's their decision. And we shouldn't be regulating them out of the marketplace.
Got it. Senator, very good seeing you again. You didn't bring quite as much fire as the two Charleses did, but I appreciate your being here. Just the same.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, well, very good having you, sir.
Well, that's Pat Toomey talking about GameStop all the way back in the day. So it's kind of important to be able to note who was on your side to begin with, especially if you are thinking that they are cool peeps now. He was one of the paper handers of the stonk. Let's see now. Senator Toomey wants his reports, Daddy Gensler. Please. Gensler. Aaron J. Edelman says, YouTube is not giving me any notifications for live or any other video. I have had your bell enabled since February. YouTube really hates the content creators that are pushing out content that YouTube doesn't want it to see. So at the end of the day, almighty YouTube gods, not saying anything against you, but I am saying that if you guys want to defeat the algorithm, to try to do so, it helps if you as soon as you come in, hit that like, and as soon as you come in, understand that when the video is over, come back and leave a comment. Those are really helpful ways to push the video further. And of course, that bell button makes sure that you do not miss the next video. Oh, Kristen Gallo and Jessa trading stories here. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Weirdly enough, it came and went off and on, and after that stayed for about 8 hours. Jeez. James Harris says, I can lose everything I got in the market and no sweat. Can they? Did not hear no bell. Element Johnny says, we do a bit of gaming. You guys are real gamers, huh? Let's see. Frothy is a funny term for fraudulent. You guys got it all down. You guys are the smartest group of apes on town in this ape town we call the stock market. I think at the end of the day, people are going to look back on this movement and say, you know, it was weird that they were all calling each other apes, but it's not that weird. Because at the end of the day, it really is more about the fact that the entire market is a circus, and we are the only ones that are willing to accept that. All right, the upwards channel right here is catching a bounce off of the bottom of that channel right there. So ascending levels of support, ascending levels of resistance. If this bounce takes off, we are likely going to see a push past 38. So this might be the last time we have 4% down. Look at the market starting to recover. Most of these 3% pullbacks are becoming, turning into 2.5s. And some of them are pulled all the way back to near break even. Ethereum still down at 3%, Bitcoin still at 2.5. Most of the crypto is also learning. Let's see now. Yeah. Enfield says we should do a raffle where I win every time. We're all winners. Essa says, I did really miss y'all. I was working so hard and then got laid off. Oh no! On the bright side, it's allowed down, and the kids that I worked with all had COVID are all recovered. That's good to hear. And at the same time, laid up. I'm not familiar with that phrase. If you got laid off, my heart's going out to you. My God, what's going on with the market? Jeez Louise, can we just get a normal amount of support for our hardworking peeps in the world right now? That's so hard. Insanity. Let's take a look once again at that short interest right here. About 20%. That's why AMC is still holding that 20% for the last week and a half. It's substantial. Laid up as in sick. Okay, got it. Thank you. Whew. I was like, what kind of euphemisms are going out right now? Let me see if I can pull up just a little bit more. Remember, we had what Pat Toomey thought about AMC back in the day. Let's go once again at the response that Citadel had from earlier. And then let's talk really briefly about why Citadel is now, just now, starting to come back around. It did take them like a day to gather a response here. Here it is. Citadel CEO Ken Griffin lied during the GameStop House hearing when asked by U.S. Representative Juan Vargas if Citadel had any collusion with Robinhood. Turns out there was. Here it is. 40 seconds. Don says, oh my Tetra I am so glad I've caught your stream. It's been too long. Life is suddenly better. Don! Still got your ties, Don. Look at these cute little ties from Meatball. I'm going to give a special little zebra tie for him to wear right now. It's like a little bonnet. Okay, here it is. 40 seconds.
There was collusion that the big guys, all of you guys, were figuring out how to do this and ultimately come out ahead as you always do. But did you talk to them about restricting or doing anything to prevent people from buying, not selling, but buying in GameStop?
Let me be
anybody in your organization.
Let me be perfectly clear. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. More like absolutely. Actually, yes. Just an FYI, says Gretchen Howard. Let's actually look up who Gretchen Howard is. Let's do this whole thing from the top. Gretchen Howard. Chief Operating Officer of Robinhood. So this is the COO of Robinhood, contacting little Mr. Vlad Tenov, the CEO, that says, hey, FYI that Dan and I are joining Jim at 5 p.m. on a call with Citadel. They reached out and want to speak this evening, and we believe they will make some demands on limiting PFOF, payment for order flow, across the board. We won't agree to anything, so wanted to give you a heads up. Vlad says, okay, maybe this is a good time for me to chat with Ken Griffin. You guys can mention that.
So if we depose everyone in your organization, we'll find that.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Incorrect. Everyone is. You wouldn't believe the convo we had with Citadel. Total mess. This is January 27th, 2021. Jim Swart? What? It's great when all of the documents have their full names so that we can just figure out who these people are. Jim is president at Robinhood Securities LLC. Okay, so there it is. Talked to Citadel in January 27th, and you wouldn't believe the convo that they had. I sure wouldn't believe it either. And yet we're here. And yet we are currently here. And Element Johnny is right. Hedgies acting a little sus. A little bit sus. Okay. So that's the point of it. SEC GameStop report has yet to be issued, and Robinhood's PFOF might not be long for the world. So Short Squeeze sits at the center of the story. You guys are watching history unfold, and luckily, you guys have already followed the story to its completion by pressing that sub, right? You guys are subscribing, you guys are listening, you guys are learning. The human head weighs 8 pounds, says Mark Blue. Soapy Pop says, hey, don't forget to slap that like button like a bop it. People are being cautious today with stock market news, says Rolo. Meatball looks thrilled, says Crystal. He's looking thrilled to be here. Brooklyn 34 says, oh, and guess what? Absolutely nothing will happen to him. Just like the show Billions, they can do whatever they want to do, hence why AMC hasn't squeezed. It's the point of the matter. We're making points here about the principle of making a stand. Wyway148 says, simple. How much was Robinhood fined by SEC, and how much of those millions went to those actually hurt by their actions? 0. What does that tell you about their corruption? Yeah, can you please stop taking kickbacks, government, and start giving that money to the people that you're fighting on behalf of? It's very weird. It's like if I invented a ghost that was the ghost of all people, and everyone had to pay a little money for this ghost. But instead of the ghost actually working on behalf of the people, it just keeps on giving money to a select few people that work for the ghost, and that's the government. Government in terms of ghosts. Let's see. The most prudent thing to do at the moment is probably to wait for regulators to issue their official report. Sadly, many investors have a strong distrust for the entities in charge of protecting the public, and it will take an unprecedented level of transparency for these long-awaited reports to even be trusted. It is hard to blame the meme stock investors for exercising skepticism in a world filled with shills FUD, fake news bots, and mainstream media boomers who don't understand meme. Jeez. Professor Andy, what's up? What's up, Cannabis News? I've been here chilling with Professor Meatball. No Revolution says, remember what happened to the last billionaire? Has there even been a billionaire? I can't remember. I can't even think about billionaires right now. Let's see. Croc says they're being paid by few people to fight most people that are forced to pay them. $70 million fine. Let's see if we can look at that article for that 70 mil. 70 million. Wall Street Journal reported on this from June 30th. Jeez. Can I get this out by itself? Great. Robinhood agrees to pay $70 million to settle regulatory investigation. Washington. $70 million to resolve sweeping regulatory allegations that their brokerage misled customers, proved ineligible traders for risky strategies, and didn't supervise technology that failed and locked millions out of trading. Like me, and likely you, the enforcement action is a blow to the fast-growing online brokerage launched in 2014 and won over users with commission-free trades, and its sleek mobile app seems a little bit congratulatory for actually being illegal. They did illegal stuff and then they got caught. Let's see. Funny thing about the show Billions, they actually came after hedge funds in the show. In real life, not so much. Oh, I kind of want to have to watch Billions. I kind of want to have to take a little look right now. Only color Apesy is green. Let's see if I can do this. So turn this off. And then I think there's some Wall Street Journal vids here. Robinhood users come under attack. Robinhood has a customer service problem, obviously. Okay, Robinhood's FINRA settlement highlights pains of fintech firms. So here's in the Wall Street Journal. Fast-growing online brokerage company, which officially filed for an IPO, remember back in July, has beefed up its legal and compliance teams. So settlement with a Wall Street regulator highlights the scrutiny and compliance challenges financial technology companies could face as they transition from startups to publicly traded companies. Now they're fair game. Now it's time to get it on. Robinhood agreed to pay nearly $70 million to resolve allegations that brokerage misled customers, approved ineligible traders for risky strategies, and didn't supervise technology that failed and locked millions out of trading, according to the agreement that the industry regulatory authority that made public Wednesday. That's FINRA. These are common issues with fintech companies. Alma Angadi, the partner at consulting firm Guidehouse, who previously worked in the enforcement department at FINRA, said, "It is hard to make that shift from technology companies building really cool things to a regulated financial institution." She said sometimes the basic tackling of compliance gets lost in the process when companies focus on innovation. You really need to be cognizant of the compliance requirements that exist in the old world that you're disrupting, because that will apply to you as well. Robinhood, here it is, getting into a lot of trouble not because of the speed of the technology, but just because they keep doing some bad things, incomprehensible things, incorrigible things, morally ambiguous, and not even ambiguous, morally wrong things. Where's Jaws, says Mad Hatter. Resort Dog says red means buy, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not a financial advisor, but I've been buying during this live stream. It is a fairly good shot that, especially the more established companies here, that probably you're going to see some substantial growth in the more established companies. Ethereum down 4.5%. Yeah, this dip continuing on. PayPal down 4%. We got Best Buy down 1.5%. DraftKings down. Virgin Galactic down 8%. Oh, this is the crazy thing that Virgin Galactic does. This is the thing that Virgin Galactic does. It goes all the way down to the bottom of this support level, and then it goes back up. The last time it went down below that support level, it actually went all the way down to $14. So I'm not gonna touch Virgin Galactic right now, just in case it goes all the way back down to 14. But just so you know, this has happened before. See where PayPal is. PayPal on the daily chart is the lowest it's been since June. Well, technically, you can say it's the lowest it's been since August. That's substantial. Fine, let's look at like an oldie but a goodie. I did a whole video about Costco before. With the first stock I ever traded. Oh, it's just been grinding nonstop. Oh, have I just been making bank on Costco without even knowing about it? Yeah. Wow, it's $100 back in 2019. Oof. Down 3% today though. So those would have been gains you would have seen from August, but really from like a couple days ago. Yeah, most of these stocks were around this price like 7 days ago, essentially. Damien says I can go lower. AMC, last time it was at this price was closer to 7 days ago or all the way back in August. So markets have essentially broken down below where they were a week ago and now going further. Rich TV says, so the way I see the market, you can almost guarantee to make money shorting stocks on Fed days. My question is, where's the guaranteed bullish days for those for the iPhone announcement day? A couple of days are pretty obvious. Element Johnny says, I had a friend who downloaded Robinhood and I told him how they're a sussy baka. I said it. Oh no. I said it. Why did I say it? Oh. It's now in the internet. They're gonna deep fake this. Oh. Come on, buddy. Come on. You see how he's wearing the tie? Really cute. Info says, welcome to Costco. I love you. Damien Perry, look at the platinum meatball coin that he has. You see that? That's because Damien Perry has been a member of the Moon Platoon for as long as time immemorial. There's actually one more level past platinum. So thank you, Damien, for being cool. Costco also paying to have their own shipping containers to offset the global supply chain issues. Good investment for the near term. Gavin says, my charts on Thinkorswim look completely different to yours right now. I wish that I went all in on Costco in my youth because I knew that was a good company. FOMO. It's actual FOMO. All right. The company also disclosed in its prospectus that it had reached a settlement in principle with New York's top financial regulator to resolve allegations that its cryptocurrency trading unit failed to maintain and certify a compliant anti-money laundering program. The settlement would include a monetary penalty of at least $10 million and require the company to retain a monitor, according to the filing. Okay. Robinhood getting shafted. Robinhood getting the short end of the stick. For good reason. Element Johnny says, I love the stonky wonky. Johnny, you're ruining me. Cut it out. Oh, man. Okay, let me see. Oh, let me get this. What price would I have gotten if I went all in at Costco? I think I would have gotten 190. I think so. And Header says, freaking platinum. Let's see. Hey Andrew, says Josh. Please ask Meatball's opinion on the Nike gap fill and translate, please. Look at Nike. N-I-K-E. Where's Meatball? Meatball?
Oh, he's taking a break.
Go.
Oh, what? His tie.
Idiocracy has been reality for a while, says Infilth. Yeah, his tie is perfectly tied.
Aww.
It's perfectly tied. Nike is actually in a pretty interesting spot. 1.5. Whoa. Nike's in a very specific kind of way. Hasn't been at this level. Oh, it's touching its EMA. It's 200-day EMA right now. I have a good feeling about this. Boy, do I have a good feeling about this. Do it. Remember, I'm not your financial advisor. I am not a financial advisor, but I'm definitely not your financial advisor. Do not trade the same way that I trade, and that's not financial advice either. Let's see. And Phil says, I don't know about the Glen, but I got the green. Let's see now. Carrie Field says, KK fell out of the loop because of work and whatnot. LOL. That happens. Let's see. George Bell says, you think I should pull what I have on Robinhood off and buy back on public? In my opinion, pulling is a market force. Might not be a huge market force, but when you pull your stocks and everyone does it as well at the same time, like what happened when everyone was trying to get out of Robinhood, Robinhood was being annoying about it, and people just started selling their stocks. That's selling pressure to the stocks that you care about. You get right back in there, and you might end up at a worse price than you were before. That's just up to you. That's just up to you. I can't give you financial advice. What I can say, AMC dipping deep into its bowl right now, 37.43. Remember, there's still 20 cents away until that this red critical level of support here. When in doubt, zoom out. Resort Dogs is as if I had dry powder. Oof. Let's see. Chocolate ramen for breakfast, says Andrew. That actually doesn't sound terrible. It depends on how you cook it. Chocolate. I remember when I first had chocolate. How I always hated it. Full 8 Tools says, I missed your streams. You're so chill. That finger snap is for you. But hey, if you are looking for alternatives to Robinhood, Jackson already is talking about it. We got Moo in the description down below. We got Webull, right? Be careful because these are all payment for order flow apps. You could end up using them for what I use them for. Just looking at the stonks. Just seeing where the stonks go up or down. Use it as a free trading tool and get 2 free stocks on top of that. 4 free stocks on Moo as well as free level 2 data. Hey, take a listen to the fact that you guys are awesome. I want to be able to update this Patreon board at the end of the day, and you guys can jump on and join at the end of the day and be on here for probably the foreseeable month and a half to the next half a year. So if you guys want to be on the end screen, that is the best way to do it. Thank you guys for supporting the show as the patrons and the YouTube members. We are now going to turn it over to your regularly broadcasted radio silence. But we will be back tomorrow and see you in the money. Thanks again for joining. Check out the links in the description. Make sure to subscribe and peace. Peace.